So we will continue our neoplasia chapter. So today we'll be discussing about the hallmarks of cancer. So whatever the malignancy might be, the malignancy can express all these features in there. Okay, so before that we have to just remember what we read last week, which is on the genetic lesions, where we said that mutations of any cancer cell comes under two main categories. One is a driver mutation, which is the main pathogenic mutation responsible for the disease, and you also have passenger or
Passenger.
neutral mutations which are present along with the cancer cell, but they are responsible for the response of the tumor to chemotherapy. Under chemotherapy, when the tumor is going to develop resistance, these passenger mutations are going to play a key role. Then we also read about what are the other common forms of mutations which you can see. It can be a point mutations, it can be genetic rearrangements, it can be gene deletion, gene amplification. Okay, all these can happen in the cancer cell, which promotes neoplasia. Okay, the deletion usually happens in the tumor suppressor gene, while overexpression usually happens in the oncogene that is responsible for uncontrolled proliferation. Then you also have expression of microRNAs, which are responsible for overexpression of the oncogenes. And sometimes your DNA repair genes are also get mutated and get silenced by epigenetic changes, which are the factors that are responsible for altered expression outside the genome. Okay, so according to Darwin's theory, beyond the tumor initiation from a single cell, cancers continue to undergo Darwinian selection and therefore continue to evolve. That means though the tumor has come from a single cell, what happens is each cell, as it multiplies, only the fittest will remain, whereas the other cells which are not fit enough to survive will be automatically deleted from the neoplastic population, leading to continuous tumor progression. Okay, so what is the important point in this? For any cancer cell to survive, it has the following hallmarks. This hallmarks can come as a essay question in your exam. So these hallmarks include self-sufficiency in growth signal. What does it mean? Normally, for any normal cell, for the cell to multiply, it should have a growth signal. If the growth signal is present, the cell will start multiplying. And if the growth signal is removed, the cell will stop multiplying. Whereas in a cancer cell, what happens? It becomes self-sufficient in growth signal. That means each cancer cell will keep multiplying, okay, by secreting its own growth signal or keeping its growth pathway continuously running even without an external factor. So that is the first point, self-sufficiency in growth signal. The second one is insensitivity to growth inhibitory signal. So what is the meaning of that? Normally, whenever a cell is multiplying, you have growth inhibitory factors which are from outside. It will help to stop the growth. If that factor is present, the cell will stop multiplying. But for a cancer cell, whatever may be the factor outside, the cell does not stop to multiply. Okay, it is insensitive to growth inhibitory signal. So that is the second point. The third one is altered cellular metabolism, because for certain multiplication to happen, its nutritive value, the presence of oxygen, the dosage of your carbon dioxide, all the other parameters are very important. Whereas in a cancer cell, whatever may be the external variation, the tumor cell will learn to adapt and survive in that environment and to continue multiplication. Then the tumor cell will evade apoptosis. Apoptosis is your programmed cell death, so which we already discussed. So apoptosis is a pattern by which a defective cell will be asked to die, especially by your p53 genome is responsible for inducing apoptosis. BCL2, what we read before, is an anti-apoptotic gene. So if BCL2 becomes present, the cell will not undergo apoptosis. So a tumor cell will evade apoptosis. then the tumor cell also has this immortality. The cell does not die at all. It keeps on multiplying as long as it is alive. So this is the next hallmark of cancer, which is limitless replication. Then you also know that a tumor cannot survive without nutrition. So the tumor cell will secrete factors that create new blood vessels to supply the growing tumor. It is called neoangiogenesis. Okay, it's a new formation of new blood vessels. It also does invasion and metastasis. Invasion happens into the local tissues and metastasis happens to the distant tissues. And when it is invading and it is metastasizing, it escapes immune surveillance, evasion of immune surveillance. So this is also important because when a tumor cell is in circulation, the normal immunity will identify it and destroy it. So in such case, the tumor cell has to survive the host defense to go implant somewhere else. So these are the 8 main hallmarks for cancer. So these hallmarks of cancer can come as an essay question. It can be 10 marks, 15 marks, 50 marks, or 100 marks in your exam. So it starts with self-sufficiency in growth signal, insensitivity to growth inhibitory signal, altered cellular metabolism, evasion of apoptosis, immortality, sustained angiogenesis, invasion and metastasis, and evasion of immune surveillance. Along with this, now the recent 2 more factors have been added, which is cancer promoting inflammation and genomic instability. So cancer promoting inflammation means the inflammation which is present at the site can give chemokines and cytokines which can promote the growth of the cancer cell, and genomic instability due to continuous mutations happening inside the tumor cell. It keeps the tumor cell to continue proliferation even without any stoppage. So these are the important hallmarks for any cancer to grow. So it is given in this flowchart which we have already discussed. Okay, so this is a line diagram which will help you to understand. Say there is a normal cell, there is a mutation which is happening due to any carcinogen. The carcinogen can be viruses, it can be tobacco, it can be alcohol, it can be genetic instability, it can be hereditary defect, it can be anything else. Any carcinogen can induce a mutation. So once it becomes a mutation, this cell will become an initiated cell. Initiated cell means the cell is ready for a change into something good or something bad. But what happens is it starts acquiring stem cell like properties. So what do you mean by stem cell? Stem cell is the primitive cell during your embryogenesis. So this stem cell can differentiate into whatever tissue it likes. It can differentiate into epithelium, it can differentiate it into fat, into fibrous tissue, nervous tissue, cartilage, bone, hematopoietic tissue, whatever you name it, a stem cell can change it provided the other factors are present. So now a normal cell, because of mutation, has become an initiated precursor with stem cell like properties. Then it keeps continuously getting mutated by additional driver mutation. As I said, driver mutations are the ones which are responsible for the neoplastic change. So these additional mutations will change the initiated cell into a founding cancer cell. So this is the first mutated neoplastic cell from which the other neoplastic cells are going to come. So as this cancer cell starts multiplying, it undergoes additional mutations and it starts forming subclones. Subclones are small clusters of cells which are dividing from the founding cell, but they have different properties than the cancer cell. That means what I told you, it is the survival of the fittest. Only the fittest survivor can multiply further. So you can see finally you get a cancer which is genetically heterogeneous. Each one has differing properties by the time you diagnose that lesion. So this is how a normal cell gets an initiating mutation, becomes a precursor initiation with stem cell properties. After that, it starts showing additional mutation, shows all these hallmarks: self-sufficient growth signal, insensitivity to growth inhibition, altered metabolism, apoptosis does not happen, cell becomes immortal, new blood vessels form, it invades, it metastasizes, it evades immune surveillance, all are represents of cancer hallmarks. So all these additional mutations which will lead to a genetically heterogeneous cancer. So is that clear? Any doubts in these hallmarks? So each one is almost like an essay in detail. So today I'll be discussing only about the factors which is related to growth signals, that is whether it can promote growth or it can inhibit growth. So today's discussion I'll be restricting to only one hallmark because the others are too long to complete in a single lecture. So the first point, as I said, it is self-sufficiency in growth signals. So I told you already what are oncogenes. Oncogenes are the genes which are responsible for a cancer, a neoplastic change in a cell. You have a proto-oncogene which is normally present in any cell which regulates cell proliferation. So once a proto-oncogene becomes an oncogene, it starts secreting oncoproteins. Oncoproteins are the ones that promote cell growth even in the absence of normal growth promoting signal. So these oncoproteins start accumulating inside the tumor cell, which will start continue to proliferate even without a growth signal. So under normal condition, what happens is in physiology, you need binding of a growth factor to a specific receptor on the cell membrane. So growth factor which is there in the cytosol should come get attached to the receptor on the cell membrane. So once this growth factor attaches to its receptor, it produces the activation of the growth factor receptor. It is transient and limited. That means this growth factor signal is not always on. It is on for only few moments in time. After that, the signal becomes off. So once the growth factor receptor gets activated, it activates the signal transducing protein. That is, from the membrane, you have the next set of chemical signals that will indicate the protein synthesis to start. So then this transmission of transduced signal goes across the cytosol to the nucleus by second messengers or by signal transduction molecules. So once the message from the cell surface goes through the cytoplasm to the nucleus, it induces and activates nuclear-regulatory factors which will control DNA transcription. So this signal will stimulate proliferation and increase in the nuclear material. So the cell becomes ready and improves the total content of its organelles, okay, the cytoplasm, all the other things, so that the cell is ready for division. So this will lead to an entry and progression into the cell cycle, which ultimately leads to daughter cells by cell division. So this is what happens in a normal system or a normal physiology. You have a growth factor which is present in the cytosol outside the cell. This growth factor will come attached to the specific receptor on the cell membrane. So once a growth factor attaches to the growth factor receptor, the receptor will get activated. Once it is activated, it will send the signal to the signal transducing proteins on the inner side of the cell membrane. From there, the signal goes to the nucleus. The nucleus will start synthesizing DNA, gives instructions for new proteins, new organelle. The cell becomes ready to go into cell cycle, and once the cell enters into cell cycle, it will proliferate and divide into daughter cells. So this is what happens in normal cell. But what happens in a tumor is you have the tumor cell which can secrete its own growth factor. So some cancer cells can secrete its own growth factor, because I told you the growth factor receptor activation is only transient. It is on for only certain moments in time. But when a cancer is going to secrete its own growth factor, or it can induce the surrounding stromal cells to produce growth factors, okay, in the tumor microenvironment. So this tumor microenvironment is very important. So you have a cell which is surrounded by the connective tissue. If the connective tissue is going to give you the growth factors, the tumor cell can continue to multiply. That's why they say the chronic inflammation can provide a steady source of cytokines and other chemoattractants that can induce neoplastic change. Okay, so most soluble growth factors are made by one cell. It can act on a neighboring cell to stimulate proliferation. This is called paracrine action. That means a secretion of one cell acting on the nearby cells. But normally in normal physiology, if there is going to be a growth factor secreted by one cell, the nearby cell, the neighbor, will not have the receptor. That is very important. The growth factor, the cells which secrete do not have the receptor to activate it. So this prevents the formation of a positive feedback within the same cell. That means, imagine a cell which is secreting a receptor. The cell which has a growth factor will not have the receptor for the same growth factor. It will have some polymeric changes so that to prevent auto stimulation. So that is very important. But whereas your cancer cell will start becoming self-sufficient, it has the ability to synthesize the same growth factor to which they are responsive. So example, PDGF is a platelet derived growth factor. So if it is present in the surrounding stroma, a glioblastoma can continue to proliferate, and it can also express PDGF receptors also. Sarcomas can express TGF, transforming growth factor alpha, and its receptor. Okay, so autocrine loops are very common. So always remember, these tumors secrete the growth factor and they also have the receptor which binds to the growth factor which they are secreting. So always remember, it can be PDGF is one example, TGF alpha is another example. Another example for this growth factor self-sufficiency is by interaction with the stroma. Tumor cells send signals to activate normal cells in the supporting stroma which produce growth factors for tumor growth. So this is the first thing which you must remember. The growth factors can be secreted by the tumor cell which expresses the receptor for the same growth factor, and this leads to continuous proliferation. Or the tumor cell can induce the surrounding normal cells to produce a growth factor to help its growth. So any doubts till now?
No, sir.
It's clear? So now we go
Yes,
on
sir.
to the second part. I told you, when in physiology you need a growth factor first. The growth factor should come bind to the growth factor receptor. Only when a growth factor binds to its growth factor receptor, you can have a signal transduction happening leading to a cell proliferation. So here what happens is, the next group in the sequence is growth factor receptor. Some growth factor receptors have an intrinsic tyrosine kinase activity that is activated by growth factor binding, while others signal by stimulating activity of downstream protein. So there are two methods of receptor activation. One is by stimulating the intrinsic tyrosine kinase activity, or the other one is by stimulation of activity of downstream proteins. So here there is one example which is given, which is your epidermal growth factor. EGF is very important for all your cancers which you are studying, all your carcinomas, because it acts with ERBB1 is the receptor for EGF. Okay, epidermal growth factor is the growth factor and the receptor is called ERB. Always remember, ERB is the receptor, EGF is the growth factor. So here what happens is, the EGF binds with ERB and this ERB is activated and it leads to cell proliferation. So you always remember that there is one more related receptor to ERB which is called HER2. HER2 is also again predominantly seen in our malignancies. What happens is, they are extremely sensitive to mitogenic growth factors. Mitogenic means they are the factors which are responsible to improve or increase the cell proliferation, cell multiplication. Okay, so what happens is, now the treatment is given with anti-HER2 antibodies, that is, you give tumor targeted therapy. So this therapy is targeted against removal of these growth factor receptors from the cancer cell so that the growth factor does not act on it and the cell does not proliferate. Okay, so this is the importance of the second one, which is a growth factor receptor. So one is growth factors self-sufficiency, second one is growth factor receptors. The third one is the downstream signal transducing proteins. So what is the meaning of that? Once the receptor is activated, the signaling proteins couple with growth factor receptor to the nuclear target, which are activated by ligand binding to growth factor receptor. So what does it mean? When a growth factor binds to the growth factor receptor, the signaling proteins move from the cell membrane through the cytosol to its target in the nucleus. So the important ones of these oncoproteins are your RAS and ABL. So always remember, RAS and ABL are very important examples for your signal transducing proteins, out of which RAS is the most commonly mutated oncogene in your human tumors. So most of the carcinomas can show mutations in RAS. Okay. So what is RAS? RAS is a small G protein, what you see on the cell membrane. So what happens is this G protein is activated by conversion of GDP to GTP. So once a growth factor binds to the receptor, what happens is it stimulates or gets excited to form an active state. Okay. So when a growth factor binds to the growth factor receptor, it activates GDP to GTP. So an inactive RAS molecule will become an active RAS molecule. So this is the third step. First, growth factor comes from outside. Second step, growth factor binds to the receptor, and this receptor activates the cytosolic mechanism. So here the RAS flips back and forth between excited signal transmitting state to a quiescent state. How it comes back to quiet state? You have enzymes which hydrolyze GTP back to GDP. So when it is in GTP form, the RAS is in an active state, stimulating the cytosol signaling. If it goes back to GDP, the RAS molecule becomes inactive, so that it goes back to its inactive state and the cell does not respond to any signaling. So this is very important. So any growth factor for that matter, either an epidermal growth factor or a platelet derived growth factor, it changes, activates GDP to become GTP. So once it becomes GTP, then this RAS will stimulate the cytosolic mechanism to promote transcription. So that is what is important. So what happens is, when the RAS becomes active, it moves through the cytosol into the nucleus. It activates MYC protein, which we read last class, which is again an oncogene, which will help in continuous cellular proliferation. So this is very important. This RAS can activate the underlying nuclear transcription through various pathways: PI3K, AKT, mTOR, MAPK, RAF are all other sub molecules which are pathways which are present in activation of RAS to cell progression. Okay, so this is very important because they are the down regulators for proliferation through several interconnected pathways. So PI3K is one pathway, AKT is another pathway. Okay. Similarly, you have pathways with RAF and MAPK. So all these are kinases and other cellular proteins which are responsible for activation of nuclear transcription in the nucleus. So this is what happens with RAS. A similar thing also happens with ABL. ABL, I already told you, it is seen in that Philadelphia chromosome, where a chromosome 9 joins with chromosome 22, which is a formation of BCR-ABL hybrid protein. Okay, BCR is a B cell receptor. ABL is an antigen binding ligand, which will promote. What happens is, it is a point by which all the CMLs will keep producing or keep interacting with growth factor and its growth factor receptors, and all this is what happens there. It stimulates tyrosine kinase. So ABL, tyrosine kinase domain, and BCR domain, that self-associates, that leads to constitutive tyrosine kinase activity. So what does it mean? When ABL and BCR gene join together, they automatically convert the active form by, it becomes like the switch is always on. There is nobody to switch it off. You saw in the previous RAS mechanism, when GTP is present, it is in active phase. If it becomes GDP, it becomes inactive phase. It's like switching on off. Whereas it becomes a BCR ABL gene, it is always on. The constitutive tyrokinase activity keeps protein activating signal which keeps continuous to grow the cell. So it is also called oncogene addiction. Okay, so this is targeted by the drug imatinib mesylate, which targets the specific molecular targets of that cell so that it responds to therapy well. So now we have seen what does a growth factor do, what does the growth factor receptor do. We have seen what are all the cytosolic pathways which goes the signal to the nucleus. Then inside the nucleus, you have these nuclear transcription factors which have to respond to the signal from the cytosol. If it do not respond, the neoplastic change will not happen. So this will lead to transcription and promotion of growth promoting genes. So this include MYC, MYB, JUN, FOS, REL oncogenes. All these can act like transcription factors and they also activate cyclins. Cyclins I will go later on in today's lecture. Cyclins are the enzymes which are very important for the cell cycle, because if cyclins are not present, the cell will not go into mitosis. So these oncoproteins are transcribed, which leads to continuous cell proliferation. So MYC is very important in carcinomas because most of the tumors show abnormalities or mutations in MYC regulation. So now we go on to the cyclins and cyclin dependent kinases. So cyclins is the active form of a protein, and cyclin dependent kinases are the enzymes that can help to activate or deactivate a protein. So the cell cycle is orchestrated by cyclin dependent kinases which are activated by binding to cyclins. So if CDK binds to a cyclin molecule, the gate becomes open. So you can go to the next stage. If there is going to be any defect in this binding mechanism between a cyclin and its dependent kinase, the cell does not go into proliferation. So there are two main cell cycle checkpoints which you must already remember. One is G1 to S transition, the other one is G2 to M transition. So if you say G1 to S, that means from a normal resting or a quiet phase, the cell goes into a synthetic phase. Synthetic phase is production of nuclear and cytoplasmic material to prepare the cell for mitosis. Whereas a G2 M transition happens when the cell enters mitosis and it can never go back. So once the G2M checkpoint is crossed, the cell will undergo multiplication, cell will undergo division. It cannot be stopped in between. So these checkpoints are effectively modified by the CDK inhibitors. CDK inhibitors are the ones which silence their CDKs and exert negative control over the cell cycle. So for a cell to undergo a cell cycle, you have the cyclins and CDKs. Both has to join to form a complex, and if the complex is inhibited by CDKI, the cell will not go into the mitotic phase. So you have G1 to S phase and the other one is G2 to M phase. So what happens is you have a gain of function mutations in CDK4 or D-cyclin. That means the D-cyclins are present more. That means your CDKs are present more. So the cyclins are always active. Or you can get loss of function mutation of CDKI. So what does it mean? Inhibitors are not present inside the cell. So the cell continues to go into proliferation. So this is what is important. So this is what happens in a cancer cell. The cell can produce its own growth factors. That is point number 1. 2, it can start expressing the growth factor receptor for the growth factor which is itself secreting. Point number 3, it can stimulate the surrounding stromal cells to secrete growth factors. Number 4, the receptors are always in an activated state. Number 5, the cytosolic pathway is always in an activated state. Number 6, the nuclear transcription pathway is always in an activated state. Number 8, cyclins and CDK complexes are always in an activated state. 9, CDKIs, the inhibitors of CDKs are not present inside the cell. 10, the inhibitors of the oncoproteins, the tumor suppressor genes, they are all inactivated. So all these 10 mechanisms will make sure that the cell continues to proliferate even in the absence of any growth signal or any defects in the growth factor receptor also does not affect the cell proliferation. So is that clear? That is the one hallmark of a neoplastic cell.
Yes, sir.
So I will stop this lecture. I'll log in again to clear your doubts. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.